Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's session. We really think this is going to be important information for you to know, and we're happy to have the SOCAN Foundation here with us to talk about their grant program. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which my office is located is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Huron-Wendat people. I recognize and respect these nations as the original stewards and caretakers of this land and its water, which relate to our collective past, present, and future. The first session will be conducted in English only, and we will be hosting a French-only session starting at 2 p.m. today. Now let me introduce our great presenter today, Julien Boumard Coallier. Julien is the grant manager at the SOCAN Foundation. As a graduate in communication studies, whose master's thesis was on the practices of vinyl, Julien's passion for music led him to explore every corner of the industry, whether it's through his academic research, his work for various cultural and musical media outlets, and his stints working for a record label. Julien has honed his professional skills and developed a wide network of contacts. Enough said about him. I will give him the floor as he's clearly the best person to talk about this topic.
Thanks a lot, David. Hi, everyone. My name is Julien Boumard Coallier, and I am, as David said, the grant manager at the SOCAN Foundation, and I'm based in Montreal, and the rest of my team is based in Toronto, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you to Orchestras Canada for hosting this and inviting me to do this brief presentation on what we do and how we can support music creators in Canada. So I do have a slideshow that I can present. I might skip a couple of slides and read some of it and maybe go in different directions. We're gonna have a question period at the end, so I think we're just gonna get all the questions at the end. But yeah, let's start this, and I will share my screen. Okay, you should be able to see this now. So first of all, yes, we are a very small team. When I started like 7 or 8 years ago, it was just me and the executive director working part-time, both of us. So it has grown a lot in the last couple of years with some new programs, grants, and awards, and I will tell you more about this. I think there's some people in the room here that are that work with organizations, and other people that are maybe more on that are composers or music creators. So I'll do my best to cover as much as possible, but there are some things that we might want to that we don't necessarily need to talk about, some programs that are more for I don't know, popular music maybe, or music production per se. So if I go too fast on certain things, maybe feel free to ask questions about this as well at the end of the presentation. A little bit of context and history. So SOCAN Foundation and SOCAN are related. Basically, what you need to know is SOCAN Foundation is really just a kind of a service when you become or when you are a SOCAN member, and it's there to support the SOCAN members and just music creation in general in Canada. So we are part of SOCAN, but we also have a different board, which really illustrate how distinct we can be from SOCAN per se. SOCAN is a private member-focused organization, so to have access, and I'm just talking for artists here, not necessarily organizations, because organizations beside publishing companies, organizations can be SOCAN members, but to become a SOCAN member, well, it's free, it's pretty easy. And I won't say much about SOCAN per se, but it will be more about the foundation here. But we do support SOCAN members mostly. It was founded in 1991, so it's been a while, but everything is relative. But membership free, I said that, and separate boards. So that's just some background information to understand maybe a little bit more better where everything comes from. Current mission and impact. Well, the mission is pretty straightforward. It's the foundation fosters, sustains, and promotes the creation of Canadian music, which I touched on a little bit before. The vision is that SOCAN Foundation will strive to expand an environment where Canadian music and its creation are encouraged, and to ensure the public has an enhanced understanding of the value of music. So grants. We'll just move towards grants. So first thing before I talk about the grants, and I think it helps to see what we offer as the SOCAN Foundation. We have three different streams, if I can say. We have the grants, like kind of the traditional grants where you can apply and you receive money in exchange when you get approved and accepted. We then have awards, which is like music competitions mostly, and we have programs which are a little bit more for professional development, for workshops. So it's not necessarily related to grant and financial support. With the grants, so the first one does not exist anymore. Sorry about that. I'll start with the most popular one. It's very straightforward. It's the travel assistance grant. So it's the third one here on the screen. It's ongoing. It gets reviewed 4 times a year, and it's for any music creators, any SOCAN members. The two most important things to remember with this grant is that it cannot be a self-directed activity. So you have to get invited somewhere, and you have to show an invitation letter, official invitation letter. And what else? You cannot get remunerated for your travel, whether it's for presenting something, playing, performance. So what I do see for concert or classical music most of the time is for pop music, it's mostly showcases. For classical and concert music, it's more for like a premiere somewhere where a composer gets invited. So that's definitely eligible. There's also for awards for conferences or things like that. So I think the idea behind that, I wasn't there when it was created, but the idea behind that is to be a little bit different from let's say like the touring grants or other very popular, grants for traveling. So this is the travel assistance grant. Then I will move up to the professional development assistance grant, so that I can end with the work commissioning assistance, which might be the most popular or interesting for you guys. And the ones I'm talking about now is for individuals, and you see below that there's 3 other that are mostly for organizations. So the professional development assistance program, it's different from the travel assistance grant because it can be a self-directed initiative. So if a SOCAN member wants to get violin lessons, or even maybe a workshop on music production or how to use Pro Tools, or anything that's related, even on like the financial aspect, but anything that is related to the career, in terms of learning new skills or knowledge, this is the grant you want to apply to. But we also, to be eligible, first of all, it's once every 2 years, and you need to have received royalty payments, 2 royalty payments two royalty payments every year for the last 3 years. But we don't look at the amounts at all. So it's just to show some kind of ongoing activity. And then we have the work commissioning assistance. This grant is it's to fund commissioning composers. What we do and how it works is we match amounts between that the organization is willing to pay to the composer. We match the amount between $1,000 and $3,000, but the amount we match has to come from the private sector. That doesn't mean you can't include in your overall or total budget. Doesn't mean you can't include any grants from governmental funding bodies or from municipality or city or anything that's public. You can have that in your budget, but the amount that we will match is an amount that's coming from the private sector. So it can be a fundraising initiative. It can be pretty much anything besides kind of council or for the arts or some other very popular funding bodies. And the money goes directly to the composer, but the composer that is being commissioned cannot apply directly. It has to come from an organization or even like an ensemble, and maybe for this one, because it's an important one, I will show you the guidelines on their website. So I'm gonna leave this here. I think everybody can see my screen. And what I wanted to tell you is, in order to be eligible, applicants must match the work commissioning assistance grant with privately raised funds. And sorry, I was trying to find. So grants are provided to assist individuals, corporations, performers, ensemble, and presenters to commission SOCAN members. So they also have to be SOCAN members. But that's a very important, thing to remember here. Second very important thing is, besides what I told you, so the range is from $1,000 to $3,000. There has to be some performances at some point, and you have to let us know what the date is. That's part of the online application form. And the other thing that the jury looks at is the agreement that is included in that grant, and that the agreement has to indicate at least the following points. So I will just read them, but the SOCAN writer member retains copyright of the commissioned work, projected commissioning fee that has to be in the agreement as well, the projected date of completion of the work, projected date of the first public performance, the funding being matched by the SOCAN Foundation is not derived from public funding, which I explained a little bit earlier. The applicant will inform the SOCAN Foundation of delivery of the completed work. That includes the commission works SOCAN identification number, and the acknowledgement of the work commissioning assistance grant will be paid directly by the SOCAN Foundation to the SOCAN member being commissioned. So let's say an organization wants to commission a composer that is a SOCAN member. They need to apply online through their profile or their account, include the name and the information of that composer that is being commissioned, and then what we do with and that's good for all the regular grants. What we ask for is a final report, which you have to submit after the activity. So that's also a very important thing to know. The money always arrives, or you always get the money after completion of the activity. And once we get the final report, we review it, we approve it, and we send the money to the composer directly. But that means that the composer does not do anything. It's mostly the applicant that applies and that submits the final report. I will now go back to this presentation. So I was telling you, I was telling you that the first 4 grants were for creators, music publishers, and individuals. Actually, the work commissioning assistance is also for organizations, like you probably know now. So now if I go to the second section for organizations, we have the Canadian Music Assistance, which is a very broad grant. It's for presenting music. What we usually see is a concert series, festivals. What we don't fund is unless it's a very big concert or performance, but like standalone shows or concerts are most of the time not eligible. Any like education activities or even outreach activities that can be eligible for the Canadian Music Assistance. The grants are between $1,000 and $3,000, and again, you get the money after you submit the final report. So it's not even just after you apply; it's after you get approved, then you submit the final report. So that means it's after the activity has taken place. Forget about the deadlines that you see. There's 2 deadlines for the Canadian Music Assistance. The first one is usually February 15 and September 15. You can apply once every year. Same thing. Okay, sorry, I forgot something about the work commissioning assistance. A composer can only get the grant once every 2 years. But an organization that applies with a different composer can apply every year. And then we have the annual operation assistance. This is a very special grant because it's for a very few number of organizations. We currently fund, if I'm correct, 9 organizations in Canada, and they are big organizations that have a big membership. So it's very, and you need to get invited to that program. So for an example, we fund Music Publishers of Canada, we fund Screen Composers Guild of Canada, we fund APEM and SPAC in Quebec. So they are organizations with the big membership. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the grants. Let me move to the awards. These are pretty straightforward. Again, sorry about the dates. They're not the right one. But we do have the TD Indigenous Songwriter Award, mostly for popular music. We have the Black Canadian Music Awards. And so the Indigenous one is $10,000. Black Canadian Music Awards is 5 times $10,000, with also honorable mentions for $1,000. We have the Her Music Awards, which is twice $5,000 prize. We have the awards for young composers. So this one is coming soon. The deadline for this one is July 15. We have the one for the emerging screen composers that just ended. And we have the Young Canadian Songwriters that is coming up July 15 again. And the 3 last one that you see here, sorry, the young composers and the emerging screen composers is for 30 years old composers and under. So it's also important to keep that in mind. I will show you the different categories of the Young Composer Awards, because I think that might be the one that is the most interesting for you. And we do, so you see here we have, and everything is on our website, so it's easy to find. If you click on awards here, not this here, but just awards, you get to this page. And we have large ensemble, we have chamber ensemble, solo and duets, electroacoustic, and we do have a choral awards. This is for works of any number of voices with or without instrumentations and or electroacoustics. And for this award, we have multiple prizes in every categories. We have first prize, second prize, third prize. First prize is $3,000. Second prize is $2,250, and third prize is $1,500. And we also have something for the young composers that are 21 and under, and that's another prize of $1,500. So there's a lot of prizes, and there's also the grand prize of $5,000. That is an overall prize for the composer and the piece that's stood out the most, and that the jury really wants to celebrate and support. Let me go back to this presentation here. So like I said, we have grants, we have awards, and sorry, it always comes back to this. We have awards and we have programs. We have the Screen Music Laboratory for Emerging Composers, that this year the name might change a little bit just because we are partnering with SOCAN to do something a little bit bigger. Still in discussion on this. I can't tell you that much about it, but the deadline has not passed, and we will probably announce something soon. We have the Equity in Production Mentorship Program that we're currently running the level 2. So there's a level 1 in both in English and another level 1 in French, and we have the same thing for level 2. So it's basically 4 different workshops throughout the year, and this is for women or minority genders that are looking to learn more about music production. So, and it's with Ableton or with Logic. In English, it's with Logic, and in French and with Ableton. There's no specific logic. It's just that way that it was designed. And then we have the TD Incubator for Creative Entrepreneurship. The deadline has passed, but it's about to start soon. And this is for mostly for independent artists, music creators that want to learn more about. Well, there's 3 things. There's like a kind of a kickstart grant of $3,000. There's workshops with different panels and workshops on different topics. It can be marketing, finance, what else? Publishing. It's very broad, and there's also we pair or we match every participant with a mentor. So we have a list of mentors, and that's my colleague that's in charge of that, Holly. I'll give her her contact after, but it's a very popular program, and we get a lot of applications, but it's very diverse, and it's amazing to see, the profiles and applicants that are interested in this. And it's really the approach is to try to make music creators, composers, songwriters a little bit more on the, see what they're doing as a business a little bit, so that they can really manage every aspect of their career. That's what we're aiming to do with this program. I can easily skip that. We see that a lot of people that participate in whether the awards or the programs, the curve, their career is really on a impressive trajectory after they participate in most of our programs. So that's encouraging. And yeah, contacts. So here is mine. I'm sure someone will, or I can send that in the chat as well, or you can copy it. And then you also have my colleague that is, she actually is in charge of the Equity in Production, her music awards, and incubator. And yeah, I hope this was helpful for you. I also hope it's enough information. The website, there's some information. Feel free to reach out to me or to the general email address that is just foundation@socan.com. You can also find it on their website. but we have time for questions now. So I hope some of you have questions for me, unless I was very clear and
I think both. I think it was really clear, but there were two questions that I noticed here. So the first one is, I noticed the deadlines on the website are September 15th, and your slides mentioned February 27th. Have they been moved, or?
Yeah, so good, very good point. Again, the deadlines you saw on the slides are not the right ones, and I'm sorry about that. I'm guessing that question is referring to the Canadian Music Assistance. So the next deadline for this is September 15.
Oh, so it's February 27th. Is it something that happens twice a year, and that was the other one, or is it just an older date?
Sorry, for which one?
I think I was referring to the commissioning grant.
Okay, my bad. So maybe I didn't mention that. That's because it's the same deadline as the Canadian Music Assistance. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So there are two. There's the February 15. So this is for work commissioning assistance and Canadian Music Assistance. The thing is they both get reviewed at the same time, and it's February 15 and September 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. And the other one is, does the SOCAN Foundation recommend that commissioning organizations or individual use the Canadian League of Composers fee chart to calculate commissioning fees?
That's a very good question. So first of all, I'm not part of the committee, but I'm sure that if you do follow the same guideline, it will be the jury will appreciate it. Or it will give you. I mean, you will be on the right path, but I can't guarantee that if you do something else. I can tell you that if you do something else, it won't be eligible. So I suggest that you do. Maybe you go along the lines of what the Canadian League of Composers is suggesting.
Okay, thank you. And we have one more that just came in from Hugh Donan. In looking at the definitions of the work commissioning assistant grant, I noted it covered classical music. This is fairly broad, so assuming it is for any orchestra music, it could be classical, baroque, chamber, just not pop.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
It was for pop as well, I think last year or 2 years ago, and we changed it only to serve the community better and really respond to the demand. So there was not a lot of demand in pop, and the committee decided to focus on classical concert music.
Perfect. It looks like there's no more questions. Last call. I guess if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll ask Julien. Or one just came in. If an individual or organization applies for grant, do they find out that their application is approved before the event, even if the money is not received until after the final report is accepted?
That's a good question. So how it works, there's a two that for what was it for Canadian Music Assistance or for work commissioning assistance?
It didn't specify.
Okay, so yeah, for both it's reviewed twice a year after the deadline, so a little bit after February 15 and a little bit after September 15, and then the committee meets to decide on who gets approved and who doesn't get approved, and after that we send the confirmation to all the organizations. So if let's say you have a I don't know, concert series that starts in 1st of September, but you apply, so also you need to know, of course, you need to apply to, well, not of course, it's not, but you need to apply before the start of your event. So if your event starts on, and same thing for work commissioning assistance, you need to apply before the first efforts of fundraising. private fundraising. If your event starts on September 1st and you apply August 15, you will still get an answer only after the committee meets. So that means after September 15th. So you might have to do your event without even knowing if you got approved or not. Yeah.
Thank you.
Or plan your event based on the...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that was all. So thank you so much, Julien. This was really, really helpful. I hope, I mean, from the questions, it looks like people got a lot from it and were paying attention, which is good. So again, thank you so much. Yeah, hope we get to work together again, and we'll do that in French in about a half hour.
Of course. Thank you so much for inviting me, and feel free to reach out to me if anyone has any questions. Thanks a lot.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today.